Welcome to a special episode of the Comic Watchers. We have a returning guest, Ben Rose from VV. Um, Welcome back. I know that we've been trying to get our schedules to line up, but when you're talking halfway around the world, then time
100%.
zones
It's
confusing.
my fault for living in a silly place. So yeah, good to be here and good to see you again.
So, what since it's been probably about a month or so since we had you on the show. What's new with Vivi?
We've actually had we made a big announcement, which was a couple of things. The first one was we held a really big burn of unsold comics. So in the digital collecting world, the great thing is you can see how many exist and how you understand how many you own. So you can really get a good sense of that scarcity. And so we decided we worked with our partners over at Marvel, and so on March the 1st, any Marvel, Disney, or Star Wars comic that we'd released on our collectible store, we announced we were going to do a big burn after 30 days, and from then on, so now any comic that we release is only available to purchase in the primary market for 30 days. So after that, if you want to get a copy, you got to buy it from another user in the marketplace. So that was a big thing. And then we've been working on onboarding some new comic publishers, some in the US, some in other parts of the world. We haven't got any announcements to make just yet, but we're about to. And we've also actually been finalizing our comic curator program. So opening up the VV platform to independent comic artists who, obviously over the last wee while, we've seen some big shifts in the physical comic world and distribution and retail. So yeah, we thought it was, the right time to get that up and running. So yeah, lots, we never slow down. We've lost you, Chad.
It would help if I took the mute off.
Yeah.
So didn't you guys do a lot of release a bunch of Disney digital things for the virtual collectors?
Oh yeah. I mean, what I've just said is just on the comic side. So we've done a lot more. So we released the VV-verse. So the VV-verse is a metaverse for collectors. That's been huge. So you can build your own space, completely free to use. You can build your own space. There are ready to use spaces. You can bring in all of your collectibles, all of your comics. You can have other people into your space. We've got people hanging out in there and creating live streams and content and just doing games and shows in there. So we've released that. We've done a whole lot of new collectibles. So Gambit and Rogue and Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, we've been busy. We've been absolutely full on.
So with the getting the indie creators, are you? And I'm sure you can't go into details of what exactly you're doing, but are there any specific creators that you're hoping to work with?
Yeah, so we have conversations ongoing all the time with publishers, large publishers, medium publishers, independent ones, but also comic artists. And so the vision for us was to be an ecosystem where anybody, irrespective of what deal they might have or who they might be working with, could get their comic to market. So yeah, we announced at New York Comic Con last year that we were building the curator program. We've been approached by a lot of independent artists since then, some of whom have been working on comics and books that they're going to launch when we go live, and we'll go live pretty soon. So those will come to market quite soon. And there were others just asking questions to understand, how the commercials work, how the distribution works, how it might impact, their other comics they have in market. So yeah, when we go live with the curator program, we've got some independent artists ready to go. but also at the same time, we've already signed commercials with some really exciting independent comic publishers too, that are going to bring their books and their inventory to market as well.
And I know you started off mentioning the thing you do with Marvel. How have you seen a lot of success with that?
Yeah, they've been fantastic. So they were our first publisher, and we launched with them back in March last year. So yeah, that the uptake's been really, really good. And what we've seen as we've brought on new publishers is we've seen both sides benefit, because it's like a comic store, right? You don't just go in to buy comics from one publisher. You might go in because you're interested in a particular title, but then you start to see others. And so if we think about the likes of Dynamite and Humanoids and Ablaze, we've got people going in for Marvel titles that go across to them, and the other way around as well. So yeah, it's that kind of ecosystem approach where a rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing. So if you think about some of the challenges people are facing right now with where do I get my books printed and what's that going to mean in terms of tariffs, etc. You've got distributors, some distributors going out of business. So how does that impact smaller artists who want to get their books into stores? So we've seen a lot of interest. And when the tariffs got announced, we got contacted by a load of publishers to say, hey, we're quite interested in this digital distribution thing. We've been sitting on the sidelines previously, but we see that others are starting to get in there. We see there's an audience, so now we'd like to understand how that could work for us. So that's been pretty exciting for us to see that turnaround.
Now, not to get I said I wasn't going to talk about politics, but are you guys kind of planning in case they try to somehow I don't know if they can put tariffs on digital stuff, but I'm sure if there's a way to make money, the government can make money off of it. I'm sure they'll try.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, look, we always do scenario planning around all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, 100%. That's we're always keeping an eye on those things, and especially with we've got a big audience in the US, so it's really, really important to us. But yeah, at the moment we're like everybody, right? We're getting our head around how it works. The initial impact from the comic industry seems to be an increasing openness to thinking about digital comic reading and accessing new audiences on new platforms like ours. So that's been pretty positive.
So since we last talked, have you seen any growth or any more interest in what you guys are offering?
Yeah, a lot of it depends on the specific titles that you offer. So we one a real highlight was the Marvel Rivals #1, which sold out in I think it was less than a couple of hours. So we have titles that do really well. We have other ones that are a bit more niche and don't do so well on the initial drop, but then later on the marketplace sales will pick up as our community read them and start to share with each other. So yeah, it's depends on the title, but yeah, the Marvel Rivals phenomenon was kind of to be expected. Look at the uptake of that whole franchise across all different channels, but that was pretty exciting.
And that, from just what I know about Marvel Rivals, I know that it's a game, but it's also a digital type thing. So that's kind of like in your wheelhouse almost.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what they've done there is, what Disney and the team are just so well known for doing is they create one property, one IP, and then they really successfully start to leverage it across others. So yeah, it's a game, it's a comic, it's an IP. So I think you'll see more and more of the Rivals IP all over the place.
So I know when we first talked, we talked about what you're reading. What are you are you reading anything new? Or are you still reading things that you've just continuing on, and on that vein.
Yeah, hey, I'm going back. I'm going back to my childhood, and so I've been reading copies of the Beano and the Dandy, which are UK comics from Thompson. So yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How so I'm a reasonable vintage, and so comics from back when I was a kid, some of them would be pretty pretty questionable, pretty controversial these days. So it's been really interesting to pick up some of those old comics and see back in the day, the sorts of things that kids were reading. It's tastes have changed, right, over the years.
Yeah, I mean, it's as being a seasoned reader myself of a certain vintage, also.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and it's also kind of nice to see things that were came out when I was younger and enjoyed them being reimagined, not reimagined, but new life being breathed into them, like GI Joe and Transformers and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
even He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. There, I dated myself.
Well, we've got the Thunderbirds comics on from Dynamite, and
Mm,
they do really well because kind of like He-Man. If you were into Thunderbirds, you see that popping up, and it's that kind of hit of nostalgia. And we actually we talking of Dynamite, we had the Powerpuff Girls comics, and slightly younger audience, but again looking back, and that's nostalgia. So it's really interesting seeing what constitutes nostalgia these days, and the kind of the different age groups and cohorts coming through. It's really powerful, So we get interesting insights from those old comics with those old franchises reimagined, but also some of the new ones, and those comics that like the Marvel rivals today. One day that's going to be someone's nostalgia. That's the stuff that people buy today, hold on for, and in the future, who knows who's going to be interested in it.
yeah. So moving forward, um, what are you? And again, we talked about this, in the longer interview, but um, with the changing markets, um, do you guys see yourself, you know, constantly, researching and you know changing with the markets as to keep up with, keep, uh, I guess, continue to be, I don't want to say relevant, but maybe the word I'm looking for is keep up with the market and,
Totally.
stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, right? You have to. So, yeah, look, the biggest focuses for us, first of all, is getting into Asia in a meaningful way, and we've been talking to some great publishers over there, and so starting to launch some more Korean, Japanese IPs. We've done a few. We've got a team over there, so getting more into that side of things is a big focus for us, particularly in the comics world. Um, the VVverse are growing. The VVverse starting to introduce more content, more products. There'll be a paid premium subscription. We're working with some of our partners, our IP partners, on branded items and experiences in the VVverse. So that's going to be a big deal. And then the comic curator program, just really exploding that out, broadening that out, bringing on new publishers, independent artists, and going from I think we're at about 12 publishers today, and just really growing that out so that becomes a real marketplace, of a global comics marketplace. So those are our three big focuses. But look, the economy is all over the world is pretty uncertain, so you've got to make sure that you're working hard and you're staying relevant, as you say.
Yeah, and that you bring up a good point. I mean, it's when you're doing something like collectibles. I mean, sometimes they, depending on what they are, they do well in a down economy. But you know, I guess there's not a lot of you know research or whatever to know how digital collectibles will fare or
Yeah, I mean,
do you
there's
have it?
yeah. So digital assets now, although it feels like a brand new thing, it's been around. I mean, Bitcoin has been around for I think 14 years now. NFTs 4 years. So there's a bit of data that shows kind of correlation with traditional markets, the impact on sales and value of IPs and brands. So there's a bit of data. But it's a new kind of sort of innovative industry. I think if you peel it back, we're in the collectibles industry, we're in the entertainment game, and so whether it's a bull market or a bear market, you have to make sure that you are relevant. That's the key thing. So you've got to get in front of the right people. You've got to have the brands and the IPs that people are into, and you got to continually evolve. So that's what we focus on. You just try and play a long game and make sure that when others exit the market, you're still around for the long term.
Now, do you have any convention plans to get the word out this year?
Yeah, we launched our affiliate program really recently, just at the end of February, and so that's a really big deal for us. We've launched that, so we're going to be working with content creators and influencers all around the world. We've launched a really straightforward offer where we're going to help them help us onboard new users and get the proposition of digital comic reading and collecting in front of their audiences. And so we've had some good initial results from that, and so we're going to be really pushing that out into the general collecting world, because it's if you think about all of our own habits, channels like your own, people spend a lot of time engaging with the content that you put out, and so it's important for content creators to find ways to fund that and support that. And so we tried to come up with a way that was a bit of a win-win. So it's pretty straightforward. The user who gets referred is going to get $10 worth of gems, so they can go and buy their first collectible or collectibles. The content creator who refers them is going to get up to $20 per user who comes onto the platform. And so that's how we're going to look to grow. So working really hard that affiliate marketing angle.
So do you plan on going to San Diego or New York? And because I know you've been there, I know you've been there in the past, although I missed you in New York. So
we're going to be there. No, we are absolutely. So we're going to be at San Diego, New York. We're going to be at Decon in Vegas, and a few other places too. NFC in Lisbon. So yeah, a few other places, but for sure we will be at those shows. We love going to those shows. It's a great place for our community come to those and get together. We get to chat to new licensors. We get to meet new collectors, new readers, and we also as a team get to keep an eye on what others are doing too. So yeah, for sure we're going to be there.
So I know last time we talked, you mentioned that you were big into the Sesame Street collectibles. Do you have any new ones of those personally?
Certainly do. Yeah, I certainly do. I recently picked up Hairy Monster, and so I now just need Snuffleupagus to complete my set. So I'm almost there. I've also fallen down the rabbit hole of trading cards recently, and so yeah, I've got a 1993 graded WWF one. The moment where Hulk Hogan knocked out Andre the Giant, and it definitely really happened, and it wasn't acted. And so that's that feeling when you're just at the precipice of a very slippery slope. I think I'm there.
I think I fell off that precipice a little bit a while ago, and I'm in free fall now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So next time we catch up, if you ask me what I've recently bought, there'll be more, unfortunately. In fact, I tell you one more thing I did get, which was it was recently the Ninja Turtles 40th anniversary.
Yep.
So Nickelodeon brought out, because obviously they've got the franchise right now, right? They brought out a range of figures, and look, not financial advice, but I go, well, we're 10 years away from the 50th anniversary. That's going to be a pretty special moment. So I'm starting to get into into Ninja Turtles at the moment, and I've got a few old school ones, a few 1990s figures, but yeah, started to get a few more of those. I'm pretty keen to get one of the original Eastman comics, but the old wallet hasn't quite extended to that just yet.
And now you made me feel old, reminding me that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to be 50. So,
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? I saw the 40th anniversary on the packs, and I thought it's got to be a misprint. Surely, I want to recount.
So, as as part of the company and also a collector, do you I assume you like purchase the collectible same as anyone else. Like, I mean, if you're looking for the elusive Snuffleupagus, I mean, it's just you're planning for that purchase. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If that's not too forward of me.
I absolutely am. Yeah, my plan is to snuffle it up. Sorry, at one of the cons. So in New Zealand, as you can imagine, there's not a huge amount of choice or inventory. When you go to buy online, the shipping's enormous. So I think I'm going to have to wait until I get a bit closer to the source for that.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to mention about what you guys are currently doing or have planned in the near future?
I think that the biggest thing is for people to have a look at the Viviverse. So just go to our website and you'll see it there. It's totally free, and it's a place where you can go in, design an avatar, build a space, hang out in other people's spaces. You can put your collectibles in there if you want to. You can just go and hang out with people. I would encourage people to just go and have a look at it. Some of our users have done the most unbelievable things in there. So we've had someone's basically built the Acropolis. We've had someone build the cathedral. We've had someone open a comic store. One of our users called California Comics has opened a comic store where you can go and buy digital comics from his store. Really worth going and having a look. I think that's for us. We think that's going to be the future of community and collecting. So yeah, go and have a look at the Viviverse if you haven't yet.
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, and hopefully next time we won't have to worry about multiple reschedulings to do this.
100%. Totally. Great to see you, Chad. Thanks for having me.
And where can people, find out more online about VV and everything, and such as social networks and all that?
Yeah, so super easy. Go to vv.me, or just get onto X and look at, or Discord and look for VV Official. And if you want to find me, you can find me on X at Mr. Ben Rose.
All right. Well, next time we'll try to have you on for the the actual, or the show like you were last time, and we'll have more than one person asking questions. That way it'll be a whole lot easier.
Amazing. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Chad.
All right, always a pleasure.